Hey y'all, this is aemok,
Madam Hexe,
and kayce.
and this is Trouble Comes in Threes. This podcast discusses scandalous topics such as sexual health, kink, ethical non-monogamy, and more. If you are under 18, please visit scarletteen.com. But if you're over 18, join us and let's get naughty. I couldn't think of a good pun for the holidays.
You know, yeah, the holidays aren't really fun.
I mean, we could say like, come jingle our bells. Yeah, I don't know.
Tickle my jollies. I don't know.
Tickle my hollies. Like,
Hey.
No.
Goodness.
Thank goodness we didn't have time to think of a joke for this this episode. We are talking about the holiday season for anyone categorized as other.
Oh,
Yep. Which is kind of our big umbrella term right now for anything that is not heterosexual, not cisgender, not vanilla, not
Monogamous.
serial monogamous. We're talking to all of you. This is for everyone because these can apply in pretty much any situation. And given that the holidays are coming up, we wanted to do it well in advance so you can make your battle plans.
at least here in America, two of the big, like, air quote,
Family.
family holidays
We'll get to defining that word later.
are Turkey Day
Yes.
and Christmas.
Yes.
Mhm.
Or the Hanukkah season, if
Oh,
that's where
yeah,
you're
or Hanukkah. Like that winter holiday,
Yeah.
Kwanzaa as well. But, you know, the winter holiday,
Winter holidays,
and then Easter,
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
springtime. Oh,
which
yeah.
is in the springtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
The summer is just like 4th of July and shit, but these
Right.
are like the family
Yeah,
holidays.
yeah,
So,
How do you handle
I'm liking
this?
those air quotes around family.
Well, why don't we start there? That's a good place. Why don't you, since you brought that up, let's start with defining what when we say family with a capital F, what do we mean? And then moving forward, when we say family, that's what we'll be referring to. And when we say bio-family, it's the group of human beings that you're either born or adopted into.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead, Kaitlyn.
So for us, our family is basically the chosen group of human beings who we care about and want in our lives and nourish us through like experiences and everything. And then when we're referring to bio-family, we're referring to the very possibly toxic people that you are blood related to that you don't have to go see if you don't want to.
We'll get to that. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're toxic.
Right.
It's just that there's
The possibility
There's
to
the
be.
people that you're born with that you don't get to choose. And then there are the people that you choose to have in your life. So when we say family, we're saying the people that you're choosing to be with.
and sometimes these overlap.
Absolutely.
They can.
Absolutely. I
I
choose
have-
my sister every day.
Yes.
I choose your sister too! Unplanned creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We love you, Madam Hexa's sister.
Yeah.
I don't know if you listen, but
Sometimes.
so, our family for Thanksgiving, our chosen family, there are bio family that join.
I love them so much too.
Yes.
They made me so happy.
Granny and Mom
Mhm.
come on the regular to Thanksgiving. Mr. C comes. That's my sir's. Like he comes. That's adorable because like
And you, for context, her other family hosts
yeah.
a big holiday meal for people, for strays as well as
Yeah, we
as
pick
the
up
standards,
extras.
yeah.
And so it's all, you know, leather family, chosen family, bio family. I know that my bio family has also like invited parts of my chosen family for things. We generally don't go because it's far away, but
But
you know,
it's nice
the
to invite.
option,
Yeah, the
yeah.
offer is nice.
But I also know there are other parts of my family that's not even a thing. Like,
Right,
and I
so
wouldn't even imagine.
I think that the important part to be here is that you're quite out with your family. And obviously, so
I
are you
am-
guys.
yes.
Well, the family that invites you places, obviously, you're out with.
Well, even the family that I don't like.
Right. Well, you're
Um,
kind of like a public figure in a way, so you kind of are out the
I do know a lot of people who are out
Mm-hmm.
in the public manner of their presenters, their things like that, and their bios don't know.
Yeah, out to
Yeah.
family is different.
My bios, my mother knows a ton.
Right.
My cousin and my aunt know what they see in public postings.
Right.
and like accidentally forgotten to take a collar off when I went to a family to my own birthday party. I was like,
Just be like, oh, it's punk. Don't even.
My grandmother saw it and was like, oh, that was so pretty. I don't know how you wear leather in public though, because that's very like that was very warm, and I was like,
right, it is.
That's why I took it off, Grandma. Absolutely.
I don't know if it's warm in here or if it's the whiskey in our champagne glasses today.
A little bit of both. Tonight was a whiskey, not champagne night, because we're talking about the holidays.
We are talking about the holidays, which means liquor. No,
Yes.
It does for me anyway.
But yeah, so, and we have a very my bio family is very non-traditional,
Right.
in a lot of ways. So you have that like additional layer. I'm very lucky. I know Alpha is exceptionally open with his family, but his family is also exceptionally open with his.
Yes, right. We love you, Granny.
I did just deliver her a bag of condoms and lube recently.
I know, and it started as an internet joke, and she's like, no, it's not a joke, I'm going.
I happened to be in their area. It was quite fun. But, you know, he's very out and open.
Right.
I'm very out and open. I wasn't always as open with my mom as I am now.
Sure.
But now my mom knows probably more than she ever thought she wanted to know. But at the same time, she keeps asking questions. So,
no, but you know what? I feel like in a way, like she probably, because you're able to be so honest with her, she might feel more connected to you as your mother in a way. Even if it's like a taboo subject or something like that, it's a way to be intimately connected with your family by being completely honest with them.
well, and she is very much like, as long as I am being safe and I am happy and I am cared for.
What else could a mother ask for?
Right. And like as the family situation, like as she has gotten to know more of my chosen family,
Right.
she just adopted the whole chosen family, whether she's met them in face-to-face life or not.
Yeah.
Like
Open
y'all
arms.
are part of the
Open
family.
arms.
Like,
If you're on the phone, I come home, I'm like, hi, Mom.
and my mom is, hi, Cat.
Yeah.
Or she'll ask, is that Cat or Madam Hexe? And I'm like,
Yep.
it's Cat.
This one. That's cute.
But, you know, and the reason for that is that she knows, you know, I don't live super close to my bio family.
Right.
It's a couple hours, which for us isn't a terrible drive, but they're disabled. Traveling is not an option for them.
Older as well.
So if there's an emergency or something like that,
You could
they
be there.
can't get here.
Right.
Yeah.
But they know that I have all y'all.
Right.
That
You
when
can lean on.
when I had an emergency 2-week trip to the hospital, somebody was taking care of the animals. People were bringing me things. Even though they couldn't see me, they would drop things off at the hospital for me.
FaceTime from the
While the water main exploded. But like, you know, she knows those things and she loves that
Oh yeah.
for me. Like that I have this connection and these people.
Yeah, and I think that's the important part, and I think it's different. Like, 'cause I think Kaitlyn, you have a more traditional styled family.
Oh, I have traditional in every sense of the word,
right.
minus that my parents aren't still together.
Minus the divorce, but that feels very traditional nowadays.
Right, that's
But those-
traditional
Those
nowadays.
traditional folks love their multiple divorces,
Ooh,
which is
yeah.
fine. I'm just kind of like, oh, you can just shuffle your deck. But that's fine. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how holidays have worked for you in the past? Because have you ever brought a partner home for a holiday,
I
or did you
have.
primarily go to your partners?
Oh, so holidays are they're kind of a clusterfuck in my family to start with, because for those
Kids'
of you
holiday.
for those of you that don't know, my parents are divorced, and then they were both remarried, and they were both divorced again. Now they're both married again.
They are true serial monogamists.
Yes. But that means a lot of different places that I'm supposed to be
There's
on
only
a
one
single
of you.
day, especially when they're in separate
So
states.
glad my family,
So,
my bios are very small.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And it's
walk
just-
us through this mess.
Yes. So when my dad lived in state, he used to live in northern Florida. We lived in central Florida, so it's like a 3 to 4 hour drive.
Not unreasonable.
Not completely unreasonable, but it would be okay. So our family, it's now, we do Thanksgiving breakfast, which is kind of uncommon. I think people think
Breakfast?
Thanksgiving they do like late lunch dinner.
But they don't.
Our so my mom's side of the family does Thanksgiving breakfast because
Is it like regular breakfast, or do you have turkey for breakfast?
no, we pretty much just my aunt normally does like an egg bake or like biscuits and gravy. Like it's regular breakfast.
So it's a big family breakfast.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so
Cool.
we'll do that because we would have breakfast start at 8 a.m. finish around 11 a.m.
Sure.
My mom would drive me 2.5 hours to meet my dad, who would drive 2-ish hours. In the middle of between them, then I would go in the rest of the 2 hours.
Like a drug deal. Did Daddy give Mommy a backpack and they swapped you for the kid? No, I'm kidding. Okay.
So we would do that, and so then maybe by like 4 or 5 p.m. we would be at his house, and then Thanksgiving there would start, and I would stay the night up there, and then be brought back home before school on whatever day we went back.
Gotcha.
And Christmas was kind of the same thing except reverse.
Okay. There's technically 2 days for Christmas here, right? Like, you have an eve, and then you have the day of.
Yeah. The day of. So our family, or at least my like dad's side of the family, does a lot of stuff on Christmas Eve, and so generally that's what I would do.
Right. I know some families that have like children, the adults, the families that don't have the children do more like the eve, and then like Christmas morning would be more of like for the families that have kids. For the the presents and shit. So if like my sister and her husband, like his sister has a small child, so they would do the eve with them, and then they would go the day of and things like that.
Yeah.
We're not Christian, so we actually do the 21st of December as a holiday. So it doesn't really matter to me.
Right.
When are we going?
Right.
And so, right there with you.
So it's like, oh, well, more food for me.
So, but when it came to bringing partners home, my first, like, outside of my high school boyfriend, like, the first partner that I had, through the holidays, he was also my first poly partner. Right. And so that brought up a whole big ordeal because my mom found out through Facebook that he had another girlfriend.
Whoa.
And so she started...
Oh, she thought you were being 2 times.
She thought it was... Yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
We should do a whole episode on introducing your family to your lifestyle.
Yes, we should.
Well, how not to do it.
But it turned into her freaking out because she's like, well, how does that work? Are you coming? Do I have to, like... How are we going to tell the family that you're bringing this guy and this girl home at the same time? And then I was like,
am I bringing
I was like, am I bringing them at all? Like, because I was perfectly content to just like
come alone,
skedaddle.
Oh, right, or not go. I guess.
And, well, no, come alone and then like go meet up with them later.
Yeah.
But it brought this thing, and so we ended up. He would come home with me. Him and his other partner ended up splitting up. Before the holidays were a thing. So that took a little extra pressure off.
Okay, that made it easier for your family to swallow.
Yeah, my mom still never forgave him, but
she got a different either. But
do I get to be the alien?
Then went to his family's stuff, or
we went to both.
You were both,
and then actually, we went to Thanksgiving with my family. We generally skipped out on Christmas with my family just because that's a whole different ball game that even I don't want to be a part of, let alone subject someone else to. So we would go to his family, and his family was a lot more accepting of it. Like he would regularly bring 2 partners to like holiday events.
He kind of normalized it for him there.
Yeah,
so they just kind of expect,
which was nice.
Setting the precedence is important. So
yeah. So as far as like actually bringing them to things, not so much experience, but the lead up to it and the kind of kerfuffle it can cause with family on the ideas of doing it either with more than one partner. For me, it was more the kink side of things affecting it than the polyamorous side.
Yeah, we'll get into that whole another layer there.
Yeah.
What about you, Mark? Have you ever done the holidays combining, besides like with your other family, like with partners and things like that? For better or for worse? I don't know.
So my ex-husband and I would rotate between families.
Right.
His family lived out of state, so we kind of...
It was more of a journey.
We would get up there as frequently as we could, but we would visit the in-state relatives.
Right.
And do both Turkey Day and Christmas with bios. And then other members of the other partners, whether they be kinky or otherwise, I have brought some of them home to family members or like to family events. They're just my partner.
Yeah.
My family's very small.
Right.
And so our events tend to be really small.
Yeah.
Nowadays I rotate between chosen family and bio family.
Right. Because you have good relationships with both.
I have really good relationships with both. And after explaining to my mom why I wanted to do it that way, she was way more understanding.
I gotcha. She didn't feel like you were just not wanting to spend time with them.
Right.
Gotcha. Waggly eyebrows in the background.
I love both my families. They're both kind of crazy.
A lot.
Yes. And so this was, the balance between being able to see all of my family and getting to enjoy holidays without the pressure of drive all the way up to Central Florida, holiday really quickly, turn around, drive all the way 2 more hours the other direction to go see, my sir and my alpha, and then 2 more hours to come home.
Right.
Instead of having to do all of that driving, I spend one of the holidays with my chosen family and one of my holidays with my bio family.
Yeah, it's fair split. It's kind of like a married couple. Sometimes, like you said earlier, you just split where you're going this year.
Yeah,
like
and neither my grandma nor my mom can travel, really.
Right.
So them coming to a holiday, a chosen family, as much as they would love to, is not
really
feasible
No.
between their age and their disabilities.
Right.
It's just not a thing.
No, that's fair. I split the difference last year for Turkey Day. My sister likes to host Turkey Day because her husband likes to cook. It's like his favorite. He's the all-American fellow, So
oh my gosh,
is. Yeah, so he does the whole spread, and they don't have a huge house, so they rent a big table and they set up for everything. And she wants to have all the family there. And I say all the family, at the time there was 5 of us, and my grandmother was still alive, and my aunt, and then him, sometimes his mother, sometimes his sister. Occasionally her baby daddy, but not always that unpleasant. And when my mother came to the States last year, she was here for the holiday, and I split the difference. I went early to my sister's and had appetizers and some wine and some bubbly and stuff like that, and then fucked off to your Thanksgiving party.
We did the same.
Yeah, your Thanksgiving party, and they were a little upset about that. I think mainly because Oma had passed in August, and so they felt rough. But I was like, I'm just gonna get in a fight with my mother. This is not gonna be pleasant for anybody. This is all too raw because there's a lot in that backstory. So it's better to split the difference. I'll be gone before she gets here this time round, and then so this year I don't know. I might split the difference again. I don't know. I haven't made plans yet. And I tend not to bring partners with me because my family is just a drunken German mess, and we get into big heated arguments and debates, and it's fantastic, but it's a lot to take in, especially if you don't fucking speak German. But you two are learning. I have started bringing my slave boy with me to family lunches and things like that, mainly as my escape. And and my family, my aunt has a head injury. She's like a child, so she doesn't understand what he is. She just thinks he's a nice friend, which is fine. And my mother oversees his lifestyle, so she knows what he is. And Scarlett has just gotten used to the fact.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's now kind of an assumed fixture. If I'm invited somewhere by them, it's assumed then that they can bring him also.
My mom actually asked about him today.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's very sweet.
Yeah. Until the family was how are the girls? Is what they'll say because. My mother can't keep any names straight.
That's fine.
Because her head is full, sawdust sometimes. But the girls is kind of the collective. Collective there.
Hey, that's how I refer both of you to my mom, because it's easier to say the girls than, hey, mom, my girlfriends, because then that just sends her spiraling.
And I think it's quite affectionate, the girls, I think is quite nice as well.
I call y'all the girls when I talk to my kids too.
It's cute. It's I know.
I was I've been out with the girls.
I mean, she also includes baby girl in the collective girls, but,
that
was just broad strokes.
All of the females in your world now.
All the ladies in my life. Oh, I'm such a lucky lady. But for winter holidays, again, because we celebrate on the 21st, so it's different. In Germany, the 24th is actually Christmas Day, but since we're not Christian, we do the 21st, which is the winter solstice. So it really doesn't matter to me where I end up for Christmas Day. Now that my sister and her husband, they are the aunt and uncle for a baby, and she's gonna have a baby soon.
Yay!
Or I guess next year, not soon. So they care more about the presents morning, the 25th, I guess. So we'll kind of play that by ear as it goes along, I guess.
Yeah.
As a non-Christian in a family that celebrates predominantly Christian holidays, I get it.
It's just one of these where it's who doesn't want presents? I mean, definitely give me presents. I don't care what day I get them.
Right? but I do it for my niece.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Who, she grew up with a very, like...
This is the day that the Santa comes.
Santa Claus and all of these
Yeah.
things. And so her and I still have a lot of traditions that we built together for each other.
Sure, yeah.
That we try to do every year. Even though she's older now. Like,
Right,
she still wants to. And I'm like, hell yeah, do it. Like...
Keep it. So you were quite open with your family about your lifestyle choices. I'm obviously open about my lifestyle choices. I'm like, you, Kaitlyn, and your more traditional family. I know that your mom knows a little bit about the life you live.
Yeah.
Thinking forward to the upcoming holiday
Yeah.
season, what are some of your biggest challenges you think you'll face? And with that in mind, for our friends listening, some advice you might, either for yourself or for them, on how to kind of approach holidays when you have a more traditional family, and or when you can't be as authentic as you would like to be because it's either not safe or it's not worth the headache. Pick your battles, whatever you like.
So my mother obviously knows. She knows that I'm poly. She knows about the kink side of things. When it comes to my aunt and her husband, I don't think they would give too much pushback.
Now, are they local or they're the ones?
They're local.
Okay.
So this is all my local family that's here in Florida that I will probably be attempting to see for one, if not, oh God, both of the winter holidays coming up. Just because I haven't celebrated a holiday with family in over 2 years because of the relationship I was in. We would always go to his family because it was just easier.
That's fair.
And so I kind of feel obligated in the sense of, like, I have very young siblings that I have to think about that I do miss.
Maybe it's not that you feel obligated, but that you want to see them.
I do want to see them. Yeah.
I, for a long, long time, had the tug of obligation. I have to go do the thing.
Or I'm a bad person.
Or I'm a bad person, yeah.
And it took not until I was, like, 30 before I was like, wait.
I don't.
I can still love you and put my own mental health first.
Exactly. And so, like, this will be probably Thanksgiving. Like, it'll be the first time, like, I really go see them. And so I don't think my aunt would really care too much because she was kind of crazy in her days as well, and still is very crazy, but in different ways.
Wild or crazy? We need to, like, define
both.
Okay, all right.
Both. But she actually found my kink page apparently and liked some of my stuff.
Oh, was that the one?
That was the
that
one.
was that one.
That's hilarious.
So I was like, well, okay. She still hasn't said anything to me, so I'm just I'm not
wait
going
till
to
you get to Thanksgiving.
Right, she'll bring. Yeah, but it's fine. And so, like, I'm not too. I think really it's going to be the pressure on me of deciding and figuring out what is going to kind of be the tipping point for my mother, who is very not okay with the way I live my life.
You're not bringing anyone, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue, so a lot of my life revolves around our chosen family and, like, my girlfriends. And so it's the pressure of my mom wants to know about my life outside of work and school, but that inherently
doesn't want to hear about us.
Inherently brings up you girls, your certain alpha, my kink community friends, because those really are the only, like, friends that I have.
Right.
Because it's a very large part of my life.
And the other part is, like, you're at work, you're doing school, and then that is your social
space.
And you and I live together. And you live 3 minutes away.
Exactly.
So
right. And so it's things like that where it's going to be, like, deciding how I want to talk about things when I'm asked. And that, I think, will play an even bigger part when it comes to, like, going and seeing my Kentucky family.
Okay.
Which I think I have decided that at some point in this winter season I'm going to go see him, because I do have a very young brother who I haven't seen in 3 years.
Right.
And so, like, I want to go see him. Like,
right.
I miss him. And I do miss my other family as well, but there have been some kerfuffles in life, quote-unquote, choices of...
We've had a lot of life changes.
Yes.
And with the distance, your family in Kentucky hasn't been privy to a lot of those changes up front because, well, you don't fucking live there.
Right.
And so now that there's more communication on that, so...
Yeah, so I think that'll be interesting. I think for me, it's going to be deciding... if there are parts of myself I still want to cover for other people's comfortability's sake and for the not getting into screaming fights at
Pick your battles.
the holidays. And so I think that's
battles.
really going to be my biggest challenge, is picking the battles. And this
I'll let them bully you, but definitely just pick your battles. That's
Yeah.
what I feel. That's my standpoint.
But so like if you're having the same dilemma, I feel you. Don't feel like you have to do anything if it's going to severely affect your mental health. For me, I'm at a place where I'm kind of making the knowledgeable, risk-aware decision that I'm putting myself in situations that are probably going to be uncomfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just something that at this point
You're ready for.
I've done the hard part.
Yeah.
And you have a good support system.
I do. Like, I can come home and just have a meltdown with you two.
Yeah.
And be like, it was horrible, I'm never going back.
Or you can call us, or you can video call us. That's important, is having a network.
And
important.
Regardless of whether you're already going into a situation that is stressful, or or just becomes stressful, or you're stressed out because you're overthinking everything. Mm-hmm. Remembering that you have
those people that
a
care
support
about you.
system. Mm-hmm. Hopefully people who know about your lifestyle, close friends, chosen family, who can be there to help support you, even if it's just like
Little text rant.
Mm-hmm. Or like, hey, I need somebody to call me real quick.
Right. I need
like,
a fake emergency.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'll be there at da time. Like, I'm
immediately,
sorry, I have to go. That don't be above that. Like if that's what you need to do to keep you've gone
safe.
And you've done your thing, and you're like, oh, I'm at that point. If you're not comfortable just being like, okay, I'm gonna leave now, bye.
Right.
Don't be afraid to contact somebody.
Yeah.
Even if they're not in the same state. Ain't nobody gonna be looking at your phone and being like, yes, but where are they? Like,
what area code was that?
Right.
No.
I have an area code. I don't live in that area code anymore, so you don't know.
Also, cell phones. Everyone has different area codes. Like, it's a thing.
No,
My area code is from a different part of the state completely that no one knows about. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah. But no, I think like that's really the biggest thing for me, especially because I'm not going with any partners to either of these things. When it comes to like going with a partner, I think it's a little bit different, because for me, not anymore, but it used to be that every relationship I had a dynamic aspect to it, and that was more the hard part, was figuring out, okay, what are we keeping? What are we putting away? Do I really want to give up all of my protocols?
Yeah.
Can we do some stealth protocols? How are we going to handle this?
So, as someone who used to be in dynamics and would take my D-types to family events and stuff, there's a lot of stuff that we do in DS relationships that aren't that much different than like old school stuff.
Thinking about my sister and her husband, how he does everything for her at a whim, and it looks very polite. But if you're in a dynamic, you can use that.
Right.
Yeah, and like, so that's kind of what
Gender
we do.
regardless,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You can use that.
And like, that's how we have handled it, especially like when we would go to his family, like they were privy to the poly side, but they weren't privy to the kink side.
Right.
And then with my family, it was him having to remember to call me by my legal name,
Which is not creepy.
hardest thing. No, and so it's like,
Sweetheart.
right, just
Pet names only, thanks.
pet names only are great. But it was fun to kind of play around with that, and I found that probably the more enjoyable side to holidays was getting to kind of figure out what we could do and how we could alter things.
A little stealth game like that. What about, okay, so with polyamory and even with power exchanges, let's talk a little bit about feelings of being left out. If you have multiple partners, sometimes people pick and choose who's going to what. Sometimes you're like, nobody's going. Sometimes it's like, we're all going. We're often in situations like that where you're kind of like, I have a person limit, or the environment is only going to allow me so much. There's time. I bring my Spielzeug with me to more family functions than I bring my my vanilla partners.
Mm-hmm.
He's easy to explain. My family understands him. It's just, he's quiet. He's kind of like a utility. He holds my purse. He drives the car. That kind of thing. But I have another partner who gets his feelings hurt that I choose to bring Spielzeug instead of him. Because he feels that he should be the one going to this. And you have to have ongoing conversations. And that's going to come down to the type of relationship you have. Like my relationship with him is it's vanilla. It's not power exchange based, so I can't just tell him, sit in the corner, you're not going. And I have to explain to him why, I guess, I decide to bring Spielzeug instead of him. And sometimes he doesn't like the answer, but it just is what it is. You just have to work within those parameters. And I think it's important when you have multiple partners, if you're not invited somewhere, to not take, especially during the holidays.
Right.
Try not to take it personally. This is stressful enough for everybody, and they probably stressed over making that decision enough that, you know, making them feel sad about it is probably not the most supportive thing you could do in return as a partner, I think.
Yeah. I've definitely been on the other side. It's like the partner that doesn't get to come, because when I was with my partner and his other girlfriend through one holiday season, but we weren't in a dynamic yet. We were just kind of like testing the waters and had just really started dating. Sure. And so I didn't expect to do any of like the meeting the family stuff, because it was within like the first 3 months.
Brand new, yeah.
Right, but it was, you know, him going to her family's for the holidays and like all these things. Like there are those feelings where it's like, man, I wish I could do that with people.
Yeah.
But you know, having to accept like they'd been in a relationship longer. There was that kind of expectation that they were going to be there, because that was a very big holiday for their family.
Okay.
Because she was religious, and so like it was a big thing for them.
Interesting. Okay.
And so like things like that. But even when it came time to like having to decide between my family or his, and if we're going separately, there was always kind of that frustration if I was like, no, but I need to go my family stuff whether you come with me or not.
Yeah.
And him like, well, I don't want you to meet up with me later in the day. I want you to be there all day. It's like, that's not the option.
Compromise,
right.
people.
And so like having to figure out stuff like that can definitely be difficult, but I agree. I feel like just try not to take it too personally.
But compromises like that happen whether you're in a monogamous style relationship or an open style relationship.
Not every vanilla person likes their mother-in-law, let me tell you.
Yeah. And it depends on how important the holidays are to you as a person. Like, if you're someone like, this is my jam and it's the most important thing to me, and your partner was someone like me who's like, I don't really do this holiday, so I don't really care, I'm much more willing to bend on it than say it's something else. I don't want to say approaching the holidays, because it's different. Like, is it safe for you to be out with your family? Is it not safe to be out with your family? That changes the thing. Are you coming alone, or are you bringing people? Is it a religious household, or is it not a religious household? Is it something that you can come and go freely to, or is it like a set dinner time and things like that? Like, those are little things to consider.
Yeah, well, and like, if you are bringing people home, give them a quick rundown of who the people are.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
You know,
like a who's who.
Who's who. Or like,
who to avoid.
What topic do you avoid with these people?
Right.
Like, while something might be totally normal for conversation, if you're going into like a really religious house or a very judgmental house, whether it's religious or otherwise, like letting them know ahead of time. Like, I know it's very common for people to be like, oh, you don't talk religion or politics with family. My chosen family regularly talks religion and politics. And we're very open and we're very passionate about those things. So if I was bringing anyone home and I was concerned that, you know, there might be a clash with someone in my bio family, I'd be like, hey, so like moms and grams, totally chill. So-and-so, not so much.
Okay.
Like little heads like that. Or like, you know, when it's time to sit down at the table, I'll let you know where to sit. Okay, because sometimes seating is a very like stressful situation, because especially if it's your first time with meeting the family, a lot of families have very set like this person sits here, this person sits here, they sit, and so there's the, you know, you might sit in somebody's seat and then they might get offended, and luckily I'm just like, bitch, I'm at the kids table.
Yes, where are the coloring sheets?
Well, because in our family,
will there be children, because I'm not going.
Whether there will be children, because there are a lot of people who don't like children.
Right. I don't like screaming children around the holidays, so I tend not to do the whole Christmas morning thing.
Part of the reason why I don't generally bring partners to my families.
I love children, so I am the great person to bring with you if you're like, I don't like children, but there's going to be like 6. You bring me, because I'm the partner who's like, I want to play with the kids, and you don't have to.
Perfect, yeah.
In my family, we have a kids table, and the rule is you get off the kids table once you've had a child.
Well,
and I'm like, yeah, never getting off the kids table.
I live here now.
This is my life. And you know what?
Is it actually like a tiny table, or is it just a different table?
It's tiny to normal sized humans, but screw up all y'all. I am a wee person.
That's true. So it's perfectly sized.
It is. Though I think we had to move it up because my niece is 6 foot tall.
Oh, that's
and
true.
So we had to move the kids table to a more normal human-sized table.
Maybe they'll give you a book to sit on. But the whole, other than her, the Four family is quite small as well, is it?
I mean, relatively. They're all in the, like, 5, well, except for Grandma. Grandma's 4, like, 10.
Okay.
If you ask her, she's 5'2", but that's because you count her hair.
That's fair.
But other than that, everyone else is around, like, the 5'5" to higher. Except for the kids. The kids, I think the kids are, like, 4 foot something.
Right.
The other children
not
are,
6
like,
foot 1.
not the 6 foot one. But yeah, so, I mean, they're all, like, average human height. And then there's me and my grandma.
The petite ones.
The very petite ones.
But she's graduated because she's a grandma, so she's graduated from the children's table.
Yes. Many time over.
Alcohol's a good thing to ask about as well. Some
families
families don't drink. Some families drink a lot.
Or sometimes you have individuals who drink a lot, and you're like, oh, make sure you watch out for so-and-so.
Yes. So it's good to know in advance what you're getting to as far as, like, booze. I'm someone that enjoys a tipple. But I can certainly go to a dinner that doesn't offer that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm perfectly happy to drink a water or an iced tea or a cola or something like that. But I want to know in advance, so I'm not angry once I get there.
Like, I enjoy wine, and I know with my bios, there will be wine, but it is basically what we call bubblegum wine.
Oh.
Though Grandma has bumped up her game. She found a box wine that she really likes.
Ooh.
And it's one of the brands that's like, it's a better brand, so I'm like
Black box,
whatever it is.
Well, yeah.
Vault and black boxes are those two.
she upped her
Nice.
wine game to a
Nice.
cube.
Nice.
But prior to that, it was like Arbor Farms or
Okay.
whatever it is.
Arbor
Arbor Mist.
Yeah.
And when I first started drinking, I was like, sure. And I was like,
You know what? I'm good,
just
Grandma. It's all
so
for you,
good.
sweetheart. Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe make it a spritzer and a cock. No, not even. Okay.
No.
Like, for my family, up until recently, because my grandfather had an alcohol problem, to try to help because he was trying to get sober, we banned alcohol from all of our family gatherings.
That's a totally reasonable thing to do.
And so there were several holidays where we didn't have alcohol when, we used to do mimosas for breakfast and things like that. But with my dad's side of the family, it is considered rude if you don't get into a drinking contest with them.
That sounds a lot like my family.
So,
That sounds like half of my family.
yeah. So it's like two vastly different experiences. I've actually never brought a partner to any sort of holiday with my my dad's side of the family because they're out of state, and so that involves traveling and things are weird. But they
Girls weekend.
right.
So what I'm hearing, Mark, is that you and I need to get a drinking match with our dad.
He will love that. You can outdrink him because I outdrank him last time, and he couldn't remember the name of the street we grew up on. That's how.
So all of us would outdrink him.
Oh, perfect.
Friend.
Will that make him mad, or will he like us then? Because I don't
He'll
want
like-
to.
Will that
I don't wanna
assist him
offend him,
in
yeah.
like embracing your life
I
and your
think so.
partners?
What if we went head to head on leaders?
You would definitely. My dad drinks nothing but Natty Light. He got into. So it was funny though because this was at one holiday. My uncle.
Just bring the keg with me, like, hey, pops, I'm
We'll
home.
bring like a mini keg of something good just for us.
Yeah.
My uncle drinks more like craft beer and
Okay.
like stouts, and so a lot higher alcohol by volume percentage than Natty Light.
Yes.
My dad, he was trying to like go like beer for beer with my dad.
Oh, that's because your dad was drinking water. He cheated.
Yep, but it was that or when we get into the moonshine, it's always. But like, so that family, it's. I wouldn't want to bring a partner who wasn't comfortable with heavy drinking because that family heavy drinks, and it's not in the sense of like they just heavy drinkers all the time. But when we party hard.
And so there are a lot of times when it's not reasonable to bring one or two or all of your partners or any of them. And some of the ways that I've dealt with that is, say they have an obligation. They have family obligations.
Yeah.
they're not able to come.
Then
Sometimes
your
that's
family
true.
doesn't get offended that you didn't bring someone.
Well, and it puts a kibosh on when like you have a relative who's like, oh, well, where's your partner? Blah 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 blah, and like they keep hounding you over and over and over for information. Like, oh, they're with their partner or their family, like whatever.
However honest you want to be.
Right. Because sometimes it's not reasonable to bring a partner home.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not safe.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, you know, regardless of whether they're actually seeing family or not, just being like, oh, well, they had family obligations.
That's the holidays.
Can
It's
help.
reasonable.
Right. It can kind of help buffer that. Oh, maybe next year.
Yeah.
Well, next year could be 7 years from now.
Yeah,
Maybe sort
next
of
year never.
never.
Gets here.
Right. So those are some ways that you can handle that. I know a funny story from a friend of mine. She went home, and for the longest time, she did not know her brother was lifestyle.
Okay.
And then I was like, your brother is Mr. So-and-so Leather. How did you not know he was lifestyle? Okay. And she's like, yeah, no, blah, blah, his pictures. And I was like, oh, you're so sweet. She's very, very sweet. Completely not lifestyle at all. But she's train wreck. Like, she's like, she loves watching the train wrecks. Like,
I gotcha, yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, you start giving her information. She's like, I can't get off the information train. I know I'm not going to like where this leads.
But I
I
wanna
can't
hear it
stop
anyways.
now. Yeah, that's something I always ask people is like, if they ask me something
If I
like
tell
in
you, I
reference to
can't
your mom,
untell.
no, it's always like, do you really want to know?
And so
How honest do you want me to be? About this
apparently her brother at one point, her brother and her brother's partner brought their pup with them
Oh.
to the holiday. Like, it was well known that the brother was gay.
Right.
Like, that was already, but they brought the pup along. And
I
I'm not,
mean the bio.
not a bio pup, a human pup. And so the person had a collar on with a dog tag.
Right.
Like a very obvious, not like a military dog tag, but like
the dog at PetSmart. Yeah,
dog tag, yeah.
That was adorable.
I was clarifying.
I was highly convinced.
Thank you. So apparently the mom's reaction when she noticed it was like, oh, that's so sweet. Because she thought that the human pup had like recently lost a puppy, like a bio dog.
It was like,
and that was like
the comfort.
Yes. He thought.
Let's go with that.
And
Let's go
they
with
did.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, yeah, yep.
He meant a lot to him.
And it was hilarious.
Oh my god.
I was like, that is the best. She's like, yeah, no, the whole dinner my mom had no idea. I know because of you, but
I
like,
know because of you. It's your fault. I know.
yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm at fault. I ruined the color yellow for her.
Oh, did you?
Yes, so we were walking around the mall, we were talking. It was actually, we were Christmas shopping.
Right.
And before she went home to see her family in New York, New Jersey, one of those. The new thingies in the Northeast.
Somewhere.
I'm not from up there. They're all the same.
There you go.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And we were walking around talking, and she's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. He just put up this Christmas photo, and he's wearing a lot of leather, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I want to see. And so I'm looking, I'm like, oh.
Oh, he's one of those.
And he was flagging
Yep.
he had gorgeous leather uniform, like
Right.
head to toe.
Love it.
Like fitted shirt, everything with yellow piping and yellow details.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, we have more than one thing in common. And she's
Yeah.
like, what? I'm like, do you want to know
If
this?
I tell you, you can't unhear this.
And the unfortunate thing for her is that once she knows there's a thing to know, she wants
has
to
to
know it
She's gonna
regardless.
Google it.
So I was like,
Explain
well,
the whole thing.
what do you associate the color yellow with?
The sun.
Happiness.
Happiness and the sun and everything. And I was like, yeah.
It does make you warm and happy.
As someone who flags yellow,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, it does make me warm and happy. Yeah, no, she was...
She's like, oh, you ruined it for me.
She's like, oh, you suck, that's terrible, why'd you tell me? I'm like, you had the warning. You had the warning.
asked
I
me, I had to
offered.
tell
I
you.
offered.
But that does go into, if your lifestyle and you wear an ownership symbol, when you're going to these families' events and you might not be out or you might not be that out. What is kind of the What do you do with that? You know what I mean?
I've seen people use like alternatives to collars, so like the anklets or the bracelets, kind of like the day collars that you would think for like vanilla jobs where you can't necessarily wear like a lifestyle,
a big clunky
like leather or padlock, things like that. Doing something like that, or like giving them a piece of jewelry, or like assigning what they're going to wear, especially if you're not with them, which I think is the hard part for people. So let's say a submissive goes home for the holidays, their partner can't come with them, but they also can't wear their collar. That can be a really hard thing, and they might not want to even go anymore if that's what they have to do. So it's like trying to figure out ways that you can tie it into it. So like whether it's you assign what outfit they're going to wear, they're only allowed to wear a certain color while they're there.
It can also be as simple as if you can't wear the necklace, if you have a necklace as a collar or neck collar, put it in your pocket.
Yeah, you can still touch it then.
It's still with you. You still feel its weight. It's not where it's supposed to be, but it's still with you.
Yeah.
I've done that when I've had, I had a previous D-type who both of my collars were leather, and they were like the wide band, like 1 to 1.5 inch band. Not necessarily the best idea for family parties at the park outside in May.
So hot.
No, pleasure not here.
Like they're, oh my god, yes. So there were times where I would just roll it up and put it in my pocket.
Still with me.
Yeah.
Still with me. Or I would wrap it around my wrist twice and wear it more as like a bracelet.
Yeah, like a cuff thing.
Yeah, and it was with permission.
Yeah.
They knew about it. In my current dynamic, I don't have to wear my collar all of the time. The only time I'm required to wear my collar is when I am with them, with family, or at an event.
Okay. But for example, if you went into an office instead of working from home, you wouldn't necessarily be required to wear it then. But
I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not even required to wear it at home. Like, I literally don't have to wear it except for
those circumstances.
I prefer to wear it all of the time.
Right.
But with the chainmail style, it's easier to roll up and put it in my pocket if I needed to, but I still wanted to like have it with me.
Right.
I also just roll with it, and if somebody says something, I say that I was like, oh, thank you so much. Yeah, my brother Topher made it for me.
Yeah.
He's my brother. He made it.
True.
The fact it is a symbol of RDS is just, an additional fact.
Yeah.
But like, I just roll with it. Sometimes if you are in a situation where maybe like, so I have a master lock on mine because my body eats locks. Like, it's a thing. Actually, this one is broken now too because my body ate it.
But it lasted longer than the others, did it?
Yes. Most of before we got this one, it was about a 3 to 5 month.
Really? That's it?
Yeah, that's how quickly my body would like destroy locks.
It's just like the.
I don't know. I guess I'm very salty.
Are you salty?
I'm a very salty bitch.
The acidic,
I don't know. But so this one is a more pronounced. It's literally a master lock. Like it is a weather resistant padlock from master.
Yeah.
Yes. It's small, but it's still very sturdy. It's very large. If I wanted to make it less visible, I could flip it around and put the lock at the back of my neck.
And more like
And
a
so
choker.
they would just see the front.
necklace.
And then if my hair is down, you don't see it at all. Well,
look at that nifty.
now I just chopped it all off.
Okay. When it was longer.
When it was longer, you wouldn't even see it. So you would just see the chainmail.
Okay.
Or you can use a smaller loop to go between the two sides.
Okay.
So instead of the lock, replace it, because that's something like your owner could do prior to you leaving.
Right, because typically you know in advance you're going.
Yeah.
Right. Take off the lock and either put in another single like chainmail link and just close the two together, or in a pinch, one of the very small loops for keychains.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You can use that to pop on there.
Okay.
Particularly if they're gonna have to like take it on and off, like
that's easy.
Right, like if they're flying and stuff like that.
Yeah, because
travel.
if you were traveling, some things to think about.
Something that comes with holidays for sure.
I recently, thanks to COVID, it's been a while since I flew anywhere.
Right.
But I flew from Florida to Tennessee to teach last year. And on the way back, I actually, like, kind of sort of got into it with TSA. Over my lock. Because they were like, take it off. And I was like, I am in a dynamic where my guys have given me a key. Sure. I have a key, particularly because, one, I don't have to wear my collar all the time. As you said, yeah. And two, the probability at some point that I'm going to go to the hospital for something is pretty high.
Okay, that's fair.
Because that's just my life. And, you know, tests and things like that I have to take it off. Right. They don't live very close, so it could be problemsome.
Right.
So I do have a key. However, I forgot my key.
Oh, no.
So my key was in Florida, and I was in Tennessee.
I know.
So it made it a little difficult because I couldn't, like, they were like, you have to take that off. And I was like, I can't. And the guy was very, very rude. Now, luckily, I, like, stood my ground. He also got upset about my service dog, which was great. Right. Yeah. Obviously, that's hiding something.
Can't they just pat you down? Like, can't they do, like, a manual check?
Yeah, they were just being obnoxious. Like, they just...
How hungry?
Exactly. He got upset about the collar because it went off.
Obviously, it's metal.
Yeah.
Mine's aluminum.
Oh, it's aluminum.
My links are aluminum. The lock
is metal.
And I was like, you can scan it with the wand. And they were very, very, like... So if you don't want to have to...
like, the tiniest nuclear device inside there?
Are you willing to possibly have to stand up for yourself and argue with them about taking off an ownership piece?
Yeah. Right. Especially if you are traveling alone without your D-type.
Right. And you don't have a key. Even if I had a key, I would probably still be like, no.
Yeah.
But I actually didn't have my key.
Legitimately didn't this time.
When I asked him for pliers, which would be the only way to get it off, he was like, no, why would I have those? And I'm like, well, then it's then I can't do anything.
You don't have pliers, so here we are.
Yeah.
Guess we're dying here in this line together.
If you have a piece that you can take off that is a little more obvious, like a lock like mine, take it off, go through, put it back on.
Yeah.
Like, you can put it on as soon as you're through TSA.
Yeah, absolutely.
But things that are overtly obvious, some TSA agent
are going
like
to
with
on.
Anything. I also have multiple facial piercings, funny colored hair of what the hair I have.
Right.
Like, I look
really long legal names in both our cases.
Yes,
like,
very long legal names. Like, it's a thing. So we're already going to be suspicious if you have something, or conspicuous.
Yeah.
If you have something like a master lock on your chest, they might want you to, like, check that.
Right.
Not everyone is as stubborn or as used to dealing with stupid as I am.
Right. True.
Take that into consideration, both as, like, the person wearing the thing and as the owner. Like,
yeah, you have to make concessions for practicality. Like, if they're traveling alone by flight, have those conversations ahead of time. Have a game plan so they know and they don't panic and then feel bad about a decision they had to make in the spur of the moment because you weren't there. What do? Going to call you in the TSA line? No. You're going to have to trust them. You're going to have a game plan. That way everybody feels better about it. That's a good idea.
Agreed.
Yeah. And, I mean, if you have the money, the game plan can be, fuck it, continue to argue. If you miss your flight, I'll get you a different one.
Right,
like,
exactly.
I don't personally have that.
That's still a game plan,
but at the same point, I'm like, no, let me through.
Yeah. You can peep me all you need to, but I'm going.
Same thing with your luggage. If you are carrying a bag, I will totally admit I carry my kink stuff in my carry-on almost exclusively. Like, I might check my clothes, but I'm going to carry my shoes and my kinky things. Like, I don't know. Like, one of my rope sets, I can't. Like, the gentleman who was doing them doesn't do rope anymore. It's literally irreplaceable. I'm not going to
lose it.
Yes, I'm traveling with it. No, I'm not going to put it in my check bag
and lose it.
Yeah. A really easy way to get through with things like the ropes and the floggers, things like that. I tell them you're a performance artist.
Yeah. In advance. Just
like, as soon as they give, like, the weird look to your bag, oh, I'm a performance artist.
Yep.
If you're going to pack kinky things, I recommend packing them in a way that is easily accessible.
Yes. Put them on top.
Don't
hide them. It's going to be X-rayed. Put it on top.
In case you have to pull it open. My ring was actually in the laptop portion of the bag.
Okay.
To protect it. I didn't want it to get scratched. Also, it's really big and heavy, so I put it closest to the body.
Yeah.
I never did that again. Right. I always put it in a different section because it is going to get flagged. It is a large, weird-looking metal object.
Yeah.
They have to swab it in case it's a suspension ring filled with explosives.
They got the little Q-tips. I'm like, and it changes color. I'm like, what color is it going to turn if there's something bad on it? Like
blue.
Is it blue? Is it blue? Or
I think it's blue.
I don't know. I always watch.
Changes colors.
Yeah.
But so when you're packing your things, be mindful of if you have to stop, are you going to be okay with having that shown in front of everyone?
Yep. Gotta own it.
That ginormous double-ended dildo is
definitely
definitely going to be the thing that gets pulled out and like winged around
and swabbed. You're like, oh, I hope I cleaned that well.
Right.
You'll know in a minute if you did.
Right. Are you okay with that? If you're not,
maybe leave it at home.
Maybe leave it at home or check it if you feel confident enough.
Yeah.
You'll get a nice little note that, your luggage was gone through, laid right on top of your kinky shit.
Of course, also, again, pick your battles.
Yep.
Whether it's checking the bag or packing it or owning it or, pick your battles. Gotta know you at that point, what will you be more comfortable with?
Yeah.
My boy always goes home for the holidays because his family is very traditional, very religious. I don't go with him. I will never go with him. And it did make him sad at the beginning because I'm important to him and he wants to be able to bring me to share these things. Right. But I'm like, there's no way you can explain us to them. No.
Yeah.
Again, pick your battles.
Yeah.
Pick your battles. I don't want to have to remember a really complicated lie about who we are and how we met and what we do and our plans for the future and have to endure the religiosity and all that. So we don't. But he is close with his family. And so I think it's important that he still goes even though I'm not going. Mm-hmm. And I encourage him to go and I want him to still do those things.
If you are going to go and you need to make a acceptable explanation for a relationship, do something that's based in truth.
Yes.
Yep. If you try to make for you and your boy, I would say something like, oh, well, we're housemates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He already spilled the beans in the sense that he was like, she's my partner. Right. And that's pretty much the extent that he tells the majority of the family is she's my partner, we do live together.
And that's the thing is,
it's true.
Most people don't need, it's not their business what y'all do, especially with a family like that. You're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of anyone's bedroom life. No.
Right.
So, GTFO.
For me, it's like, how did you guys meet? Through mutual friends.
Internet. I met him on the internet.
Yeah. It's not whether the fact it was at a kink event and we were all half naked. Yeah. They don't even know that part.
They knew my ex.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one too. I should start using that one.
Statement. Oh yeah, they knew my ex. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to tuck that in my pocket.
You're welcome.
You're like, No. And this is all fun and fantastic, but we do also have to remember that during the holidays, there are a lot of people that can't go home and maybe want to for whatever reasons. And sometimes it's because they feel obligated to be by home, but it's not safe for them. Whether it's physically not safe or it's not safe for their emotional state to be home, they cannot be their authentic self. They are maybe bullied by their families and things like that. And that's why it's important. And what I really like about your sir and your alpha is that they open their home to these people. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a place to go, if you're one of those people that is like the Friendsgiving kind of thing, if you are not doing anything and you can open your home to even just one person that might really need that connection at a time where family and connectivity is spewed through the media, but a lot of people feel really alone. I think that's critical, and that's the best thing you can probably do for somebody. Yeah,
you kind of went where I was going. Okay. So one of our local dungeons, they actually do a Thanksgiving Day play party, and so anyone who can't go home to friends or family for whatever, or may not have any left because that particular place does have an older crowd who might not have any more family, especially if they don't have kids. Yeah. And so it kind of gives that feeling of community and safety and closeness without the negative pressure that some people feel from their family. So I think that that's a really
definitely be you in a dungeon.
Also, some people don't celebrate
Any holidays.
holidays in the winter.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't do Thanksgiving.
Me neither. I don't like turkey.
I'm indigenous.
Yep.
I'm Native American.
It's not
The
a thing.
whole concept of Thanksgiving really rubs me the wrong way.
Well, it is a big fat lie, but
Yeah.
That too. But it's, I don't like celebrating it.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I choose to celebrate with my friends and my family, connection and being thankful for the harvests that have come
Right.
and things like that.
Yeah.
More of a harvest festival.
More of a harvest thing to myself.
Right.
If somebody else is their Thanksgiving, great. I know someone who showed up in a turkey onesie one year.
That's hilarious.
It was great. Watching the turkey sweat halfway through dinner
Oh,
was
yeah.
also hilarious. But
Turkey onesie. Oh.
but for me, Thanksgiving's not a thing.
Yeah.
Same thing with Christmas. Like, Christmas is great. Like, my family celebrates it.
Right.
Some of the people, like,
Right.
I celebrate it for them, but
because there's children in your family.
right, there's I want to see my grandmother and my mom and my niece, so like I go to see them, but it's not necessarily a holiday that I really honestly give two shits about
No, I feel
Like,
on that.
at all. It's not something I celebrate. It's not something that I'm like connected to. I'm not a Christian. Like,
Yeah, I think for me, because I don't necessarily feel like I celebrate them. I go to the things, but for me, it's for my family at least. So like my dad's side of the family, they're very close. They get together weekly and do weekly big
They all
family
live
dinners.
like in the same block.
They all live
Yeah.
in the country, so they live within 10 miles of each other because they all have
That's a country
obscene
block.
amount of
That's a
age-
country block.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a country block.
But my family down here, we aren't very close, and so it's the only time of year that everyone got together, and so it feels kind of like, well, I haven't seen you all year, so let's go do this thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the idea.
Especially when my grandmother was alive, and so since then it's kind of gone away from like the celebration of the holiday, but just like
It's a get
let's
together.
meet up.
It's a family get together.
It was a family thing for us as well. My grandfather's Quaker.
Okay.
My family is non-practicing, kind of, sort of Christian-ish.
Right.
So it was mostly a family thing.
It's a family get together. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what a holiday is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, a lot of people work on holidays too, so this may not even be a problem for you because you're going to be at the cash register, which is a whole different capitalistic
We worked in
conversation.
restaurants.
Yep.
Andy and I worked in restaurants for years and years, and none of our holidays happened on holidays.
No, yeah. And that's the thing about it, and I think that's the point I think Kaitlyn was like towing at, is the calendar day doesn't matter. If the intent is to spend time with your family, capital F family, or your bio family, the people that you choose every day to be with, whether you were born with them or not, that's what this is supposed to be about, originally. Not the commercialism, not these weird fandangled traditions of like breaking bones of birds and, or fat man's bringing presents and shit like that. It's about being connected to your family and about remembering things that you should be grateful because you've made it through the whole damn year. And what a year this fucking year has been.
Ooh,
The longest March ever.
It's still March in my mind.
yeah.
To take that time and take a breather. They're going to be inherently stressful because you're thrown together with a bunch of people, like you said, Kaitlyn, that you might not see all year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're
For
there.
various reasons.
For various
Right.
reasons. And now you're all crammed at a dinner table together and things like that. But have fun if you can. I mean,
Yeah.
have fun if you can. Endure if you must, but have fun if you can. That's kind of the idea.
And if it's not an option,
Don't
go.
don't go. Find somebody else who is working or whatever. Like,
Have a movie night.
go with a friend to their families. Like,
Right. I brought several friends home.
Or
to
watch
my-
TV at home. You
Yeah.
know, but I think that's the point Amok's trying to make, is that you don't... Obligation does not have a room in this. It doesn't belong here.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't belong here. And remember,
trouble comes in three.
I can get fucked over the holidays.